Hello and welcome to the Horace Grant episode of the Hoop Theory Podcast, aka episode 54. My name is Logan Wertman, and as usual, I'm joined by my avian co-host, Jacob Roth. Jacob, how does it feel to be on the Horace Grant episode?
Feels pretty good. Also, shout out to Teddy Bruschi and Zach Thomas in the NFL.
For being 54?
54 is an all-time linebacker number, like Brian Urlacher. It's an all-time linebacker number. Fred Warner, who's playing right now, we're recording this on Thursday night, as I just watched Trent Williams emasculate a full-grown man. But anyway, it's over to my left. So if I keep looking this way, I'll try to focus, but that's what I'm doing. I'm feeling great. I'm happy to be here. Horace Grant, some might know him as a legend because he is one. Not Hall of Fame. That's one of the one. Isn't he one of the ones that people are like, because he's like,
I don't think he's Hall of Fame. He's like a couple, maybe like two-time All-Star.
If there was like a week, but he was also on like a zillion teams that did a lot of things.
He was on the Bulls and he was on the Magic and the Lakers when he was old, I guess. So
doesn't he have like 7 rings?
No, that's Robert Horry.
That's what I'm mixing up. Okay, yeah. I'm stupid. I know who Horace Grant is. My brain just flipped those. I know the difference in the two people. Big Shot Bob.
Horace Grant was actually probably
the goggles.
Yeah, Horace Grant was actually probably a higher caliber player at his peak than.
But he doesn't
Big Shot
have
Bob.
These mountaintops of
being an integral piece on championship team. Well, I mean, he was on the Bulls for 3 championships, but
he probably won't be in like the montages of like the NBA's. Was it 125th anniversary will be the next one?
Yeah,
a couple Big Shot Bob moments. Shots could be in there.
Yeah,
not many goggle legend Horace Grants because he rocked the all white goggles for a little bit. I think.
Yeah, he did. Honestly, people. I mean, Wendell Carter Jr. wears them sometimes. But that's like the only one I can think of modern day that wears those, and that's only on rare occasions. I think
Wendell Carter Jr. is also another guy that I think might be Wilt Chamberlain's relative somehow. There's like just enough things. I think it's the head shape. They've got like a very like big top, round bot, like Otto Porter. I combined Bobby Portis. Otto Porter Jr. is for sure related. Like there's no world he's not.
Yeah, that seems like it'd be pretty likely, honestly.
But anyway, especially because of the off the court stats that Wilt Chamberlain boasted.
Yeah.
It's like mythical. Anyway.
Avian. That was my
avian. Well, that's kind of a fun one. It's better than like arboreal.
I don't even know what that means.
Of the trees. So it's not actually it's not of the trees, but it's something to do with trees.
Okay, so kind of like what avian is with birds. It's like, but the definition of it is like relating to birds or something like that.
Honestly, arboreal might be relating to trees.
Yeah.
But I can't fly, so. But yeah, anyway.
So
with that craziness, let's go to the gambling heart of America.
Hop right into the Northwest Division. I totally forgot what division we were doing. Northwest. So for the rules of this game, I'm just going to share this before we get into this every episode. So we're going to go through each team, look at their over-under line. Jacob and I are both going to give an over or under pick for each one, except we can use one stay away per division, and we can use one lock per division. So the lock changes it from being worth 1 point to being worth 3 points. So if we get it right, we get 3 points. If we get it wrong, we lose 3. And we'll tally all these up at the end of the season, and whoever loses has to get a tattoo that the other one picks. I just threw that in right now. That was a joke, but maybe we should add some stakes to it. I don't know, something innocent, something not too
crazy,
permanent. But yeah. So starting off with my favorite team, the Denver Nuggets, as you can probably see if you're watching the video version on YouTube, and if you are, please like and subscribe, do all that stuff.
Leave a comment. Tell me I'm stupid about my whatever, actually.
Yeah.
Just tell me I'm dumb.
Same. Yeah, so with the Denver Nuggets, though, their line, well, I guess, so what they did last year, they finished 53-29, which they should have gotten like 58 wins probably, but they decided to not care about the last month and a half of the season and just rack up loss after loss.
You could argue that it cost, well, I would actually bet that it cost Jokic MVP.
Definitely did.
What was their line last year? If you don't remember, it's okay.
My reasonable prediction for them was 53 wins, and I know that every single one of my lines was like at most 2 or 3 wins off of what the FanDuel odds were, except for Sacramento was like 5. So
okay, well, I just was because I was like, it might have cost that. There was a lot of things that them just like.
I want to say it was like 51 and a half, something like that.
So it didn't impact that. So that's good. Well, that makes sense that you'd be a couple games higher than Sportsbook would be on the Nuggets. Like that just makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, they won 53 games, and that was my actual reasonable prediction for them was 53 right on the dot. My ceiling was 63, and my floor was 45, which was one of the highest floors I think that I've had. Because Jokic is just a walking floor. That's what that man is.
What is his win share?
I think it's the most of anybody since he's entered the NBA for sure. Let's look on Basketball Reference really quick.
We would use StatMuse, but I got to pay for that garbage now. And I haven't even looked.
94.5 is his career win share.
That is wild.
But yeah, so looking at them though, their line this year is another pretty good one. It's right at what their last season win total was at 52.5. So they have to get 53 to hit the over. And I feel pretty good about this one. You know, the changes we've made hasn't been like a ton, but we did lose Bruce Brown.
But you have arguably have pseudo Bruce Brown just kind of sitting there with Christian Brown. Could do a lot of maybe not the same things that how Bruce stepped in like on the somehow as a 4, like a pseudo 4 sometimes. He just kind of did that. I'm not sure if Christian Brown can do that to the same level. But I feel like there will not be that big of a drop off. It'll be whoever has to try to replace Christian Brown's little bursts of help. That'll be where we might see the shift or change or need a committee to do it or
probably
that'll
Peyton
be where
Watson
it'll be interesting.
Is who I would put my money on.
That's a name that I have written down.
Mm-hmm. That's somebody I could definitely see entering the rotation. Although I think he might have got hurt recently. I don't know if it's like a major injury. I haven't checked on that yet. That just popped into my mind. But regardless, even if he's not there, I'm not worried about it because we have the 3 guys that we picked in the draft. I'm happy about all of them, honestly. Calvin Booth has been money on all 5 picks that he's made so far as GM of the Denver Nuggets. And then we have, Vlatko Čančars, who's out for the whole season. So cross him off. But I think
no chance he comes back at the end.
I highly doubt it. He just tore it in August. And yeah, so that puts him at just after the playoffs are over. If you're doing 9 months, I think.
Oh, and there's
9 months is like the minimum for an ACL,
which is crazy. Like at some point, ACLs, if they're like not like the whole thing blow up in your knee helicopters, they could be like 6 months injury. Like with how because ACLs used to be like a career thing for some people. Like they never ever looked even close to the same. Mm-hmm. And then it was like, oh, you're gone for 15 months, but you can play
come back
again.
Even better sometimes.
And then some guys
the big thing that's changed
because they work on I think it's because they work on things that they can use without having a knee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that and they can add to their their vertical leap. That's the biggest thing that Klay Thompson after he tore his ACL, or no, maybe not him. There's been some people though that after they go through an ACL rehab, they come back with a higher vertical leap by 2 inches. Because they focus so much more strength and training onto those muscles that they're better than they were before, basically.
And I think Jamal Murray is the example of what I was trying to say is like he got better at everything that wasn't just purely his explosiveness that he had. He got better at being the ball handler in a pick and roll, and he just got better at all the other things that he didn't need because he had a lot more explosiveness than people probably gave him credit for. But he just got so much better at everything else. He didn't really have to show off that I have my knees like super fine. Like I feel great. But anyway, you were saying or people come back more explosive.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's been the biggest thing, honestly. But yeah, so looking at the rest of like the Nuggets rotation pieces that are the same or different, we have Reggie Jackson, who we got at the deadline last year or just after in the buyout. He, I think, ramping up with an offseason heading into this year. I think we already talked about this on a podcast episode, but I think that his addition will be something that actually we see used. He'll be in that rotation as like the backup point guard, hopefully, kind of filling in for that Bones Highland role. Somebody who can play two-man game with Jokic when Jamal is on the bench. And if that doesn't work, if Reggie Jackson is still a disaster wearing a Nuggets uniform, then we always have, some Colin Gillespie, who was out all last year, his rookie year, with a broken leg. But now he's going to have his real rookie season this year. And then we also got Jalen Pickett in the draft as a point guard that can come in and play some minutes. So that is the spot I feel the least safe about is the point guard position. It was the same thing that we were weakest at last year. But that's the only place my worries lie. And also looking at like picking the lines here, I could definitely see a world where we win less games than we did last year because that stretch of the season at the end of the year last year, if that is like something we see for a bigger stretch this season because of complacency or like
if they start off slow. If they start off slow and then have that like, we've got the 1 seed or we've got the 2 seed.
Mm-hmm.
If you get two of those, one at the beginning and one at the end, things could be rough.
Yeah, exactly.
But one thing, as much as I make fun of Michael Malone, because of that whole interview, or he's like, my name is Michael.
Mm-hmm.
I think if any coach is going to like bully that out of people, I feel like he would do a pretty good job of it. Like there might be one game and he'll be like, excuse me? Do you want the Michael Porter Jr. treatment his rookie year? Because I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray, let's have Chanchar. Come on. I know you don't have a leg, but you can play minutes instead of Murray because he doesn't care.
Yeah. Honestly, I think the person he would have to do that to, though, the most would be Jokic, because I think that's Jokic's biggest negative. Honestly, his biggest flaw is
you're not sure if he cares.
He definitely gets into times where he's like comfortable and like, I don't really care. He's not under pressure, so he's just kind of going through the motions sort of thing. And that just that coming from the leader of your team and a guy that's usually setting such a great example that everybody's used to looking up to and following his example. Then when he's doing something like that, that kind of trickles down to all the other players on the team too. So hopefully we see less of that this upcoming year. And if we do, I think we will see a higher win total. So I am going to use my lock here on the over, which I won't defend as a great pick.
Was it 52.5 or 53.5?
52.5. I'm not going to defend it as a great pick, but so far, this has been a weird year for over-under picks because we're about halfway through the NBA now, and I have not seen a line that I feel great about a lock on. So I just have to pick the one I feel the least bad about.
I actually go under on this, and I'm glad that you brought up the championship slump, the complacency type of thing. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even think of Jokic being the guy that's probably the most prone to doing that exact thing. But that's a great point. But I was just more saying that, like, if they start slow and then get themselves to a good spot in the West, and I think the West has so many good teams that records won't look insane. So, like,
it would be like last year.
52 wins, we'll call it 52 wins could get you the 1 seed realistically.
Yeah, we get 53 got us the 1 seed last year.
Perfect. So, like, there's like a real chance where I don't want to say much lower than that, but if they get close or if they realize, oh, we can't get that 1 seed, and they do this, I just wasn't anticipating the end of the year, regular season, the Nuggets to like put the car in neutral and just kind of coast and then slam it into drive and go in the playoffs, which they did. I mean, credit to them for being able to turn it on like that. But so I'm going to go under.
That's fair.
And I don't feel great about the under. But I feel like somewhere at the top end of the West, someone has to lose.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Nuggets are a team where it could be, because also it could come down to the little nitty-gritty things. And the guy that did all those little nitty-gritty things was Bruce Brown. A lot of Nuggets do it, but Bruce Brown did a lot of those things. So it'll be – but there's also a world where they just don't turn it off and they start in full gas and they win 70 games. 70 is probably high. But there's like a world where they have like a strong 60. Yeah. Like if they they tickle like 62 maybe.
Yeah, 63. I would love to see that. Love to see Nuggets set their all-time or their franchise record.
I just think that actually, now that I'm really thinking, that won't happen. The West is just too hard. The Nuggets could still be the best team, which I think they are, but there's just too much to night in and night out only lose 20 games in the season. That's just hard to do. So
yeah,
I mean, we've talked about the Nuggets a ton. I think that I don't have anything else to add. Some guys I think that are important that will either need to take a step or just show kind of what we think they can do. Peyton Watson is a big one. Christian Brown needs to not shy away from the increased rollage. And I feel like they need to have like a big, not a huge jump, but a nice jump to feel comfortable at that 1 seed above some of these like revamped and reloaded strong West teams, whether it's Peyton Watson, Christian Brown, Jalen Pickett is another name I had written down from all the Googling and research I've done because I need to put in way more footwork to figure out the Nuggets than some people here. I don't watch all 82 Nuggets games, and that leads a little bit to my watchability score. My watchability score for the Nuggets, because I think Jokic is a super just him alone is a baseline. You're giving a team a 7. Like there's if like he is 7, he could be on a team. You make him the center of the Nebraska Cornhuskers and like surround him with what they have now. That team is at least a 7 to watch. That's not true because Nebraska's electric to watch for me. But anyway, Jokic is elite.
But against NBA teams, you're saying?
Yeah, against NBA teams. They're still a 7 just because of like all the weird, crazy stuff Jokic does. I probably, for me, I'm going to give him like a 9-2. Like they're really close to the top. Well, just they do what I like. Sometimes I wish they would do a little bit more defensively, but they've done that more since we've started doing the pod. Like they were like an offensive and they'll just let you score.
They're a good defense. The easiest way to put it is they're a good defense when they need to be. Yes, it kind of goes with their complacency thing.
Yeah. But, well, and I think that a couple years ago they were just going to outscore you or try to. Yeah. And now they're like, well, if we have a defense, if we have Kentavious Caldwell-Popes and Aaron Gordon, honestly, and we talked about it in length, in nauseum, probably a couple hours overall. Michael Porter Jr., no longer a defensive negative. Probably you couldn't even call him a defensive neutral because that's like his low now is a defensive neutral. He's a defensive positive almost all the time. So a lot of fun things about the Nuggets. Logan, what do you think? Or if anybody in the YouTube or TikTok anywhere, it probably will become a TikTok, but what do you think Logan's watchability score for the Nuggets are? Okay, Logan, now that they've put their guesses and locked them in, what is your watchability score for the Denver Nuggets?
Yeah, that would be a 10.
It would be hilarious if you pivot, just give them like a 9.
A 9.
Like, there's some things I get sick of watching them.
Yeah, no, I do not get sick of watching the Nuggets except for games when Jokic is hurt. That's like really the only ones that I'm like, yeah, I don't need to finish this one. But other than that, yeah, watching every quarter of every game. So that'll be a 10 for me. Our average Joe should be like an 8, I think.
I don't think it is. I think it's lower. So the thing is we have to establish what an average Joe is. I think average Joe is not a guy that watches basketball. It's a guy that goes, I'm just a big sports guy. I think that's an average Joe.
Who watches like a couple times a month.
They catch primetime games, period. They don't dig. They don't. Yeah. They're like, out of the however many games there are, they watch like 2% of the NBA season.
It's somebody that, it's a family man who's just running on his treadmill, in the evening and, flipping on a game to watch while
goes
he's
to
running.
bed at 9:00 and catches Sports Center for what happened in the NBA last night type of average bill. I feel like they're like a 7-1.
I think that's fair.
I feel like they're pretty low. Like they're like, oh, these guys won the title. Their best player, he's from Serbia. How crazy is that, Jim? That's insane. Like I feel like
while he's holding a mug of coffee.
That Brown kid, he went to Kansas. He played for Bill. That's crazy. I feel like they're big water cooler guys.
Yeah.
I feel like that is kind of they're like, oh, they're pretty fun to watch. He does this crazy thing where he like falls over and just kind of
throws it up. Yeah, it goes in.
Now, as has since been added, we didn't do it for the Atlantic, but it's fine.
Ooh, yeah, and jerseys. I don't know if you watched the last episode. It's up now, but I flashed up on screen every time we mentioned a jersey. I put up a picture.
Oh, you went and found it?
Yeah. So
I usually try to watch them.
Editing time, but something I'm still going to do, and I am planning on making most of these into shorts, especially like the jersey ones. So
looking at the Denver Nuggets jerseys here, I think my all-time favorite Nuggets jersey is the red one. I'm just kidding. For those that are just listening, Logan made a face because Logan, I feel like on the pod has expressed his hatred of the.
I think so. Yeah,
it should be a Utah jersey. The red Nuggets jersey,
red and orange. Yeah.
And so also we've turned this into like a historic all-time, just this franchise's best jersey. I think it's hard to beat the all-white rainbows.
The all-white rainbows, okay.
People like the blue, but just the white crisp with the rainbows good. This is an all-time jersey franchise. They've got some great ones.
I appreciate people recognizing that.
Well, I feel like if you don't, you just...
I think there's a lot of people that don't really mention the Nuggets as one of those teams, but
I just think it's because they have so many different eras, quote unquote, that have like a distinct look that I'm like, that was one of the best at the time. You've got the rainbows, then you've got the mellow baby blues or powder blues, whatever they are, and then you went into
what the Nuggets are to me, like because that's like when I was a baby. So not a baby, but a baby in terms of watching basketball.
And then they moved into this like dark blue, a lot more red accents than they used to use.
That was the season that when they did that whole team branding change was the season that I like got League Pass and was like, this is because I was a basketball NBA fan, but like I would describe myself more as like a 2K fan growing up. Like I wasn't like basketball brain, like consuming it all the time. I was just like, oh yeah, the Nuggets, that's my favorite team. I'd watch like sometimes, you know what I mean? But then that season, so after the season after I need to see if this jersey was real. This is it for sure if it is real. Did they do an all black rainbow? Oh my goodness, they did. Recently.
Yeah, that's it. That's for sure it.
I was going to save that one, actually. That's like my favorite one.
No, that's it. Now that I've seen it, that's for sure it.
Yeah.
And so for those that don't know, actually, can you show your little poster? Can they see it?
The one behind me?
Yeah.
Yeah, they can see it. Can't you see it?
Oh, no, because I went out of the other mode. Yeah, it's pretty much that, except not. It's like you take the black with that style of rainbow.
I'll put the picture up on this. Oh, you're describing it.
Oh, no. Yeah, you'll just put the picture up. Audio listeners, thanks for listening on audio. When you're done, zip to right now and look. Man, this is clunky. My brain's breaking. I'm flustered, tired, a little hot.
So, anyways, as I was saying, so the season that they rebranded to the dark like jersey, like the dark blue and everything, was the first season that I like got League Pass, and I was like, I dedicated my life, to the Nuggets. You know what I mean? Which was that was the same year that we drafted Michael Porter Jr. So it was like this must have been like the same week of the draft is when they showed those jerseys and everything. But yeah, that was around the same time, either right after or right before me and you saw Jokic, which we already promised we weren't going to talk about until episode 69. So we're going to save that one. But we saw Nikola Jokic, spoiler alert, cool. in person, not at a game. But yeah, so you mentioned your favorite jerseys. A couple of mine, I like the Mile High City ones. The
lighter blue.
Yeah, like
they're a lighter blue than the rest of theirs. Yep.
Yeah, and then I also like the one that's behind me right here. These ones,
2022's City Edition.
Yeah. Thank you to Jacob here for actually copping
Christmas
one of those.
Or birthday or something.
But yeah, so that's another one of my favorite ones. I do like the one that Jacob mentioned, the black ones with the rainbow. That's probably my favorite as well. I also really like the new white ones, rainbow. Like not the old white one rainbows, but the new ones.
It's the exact same as the black, white rainbow ones, but they're white instead.
Yeah, so it's like there's white lines in between all of the colors. Yeah, I like those. But yeah, I think that those are probably my one that's really underrated. I wouldn't say it's like my favorite, but one that's super underrated because people hate it for some reason are the white ones, the ones that we won Game 5 won the championship in. Because that was a big narrative on like Nuggets Twitter, is like people were mad about those being the jerseys that we were wearing when we won. But I really like those ones, the white ones with the like
red Nuggets.
Yeah, it has red. No, not red Nuggets, but red collar, and dark Denver, and it's like kind of basic looking.
Oh, it's is it their standard home away?
No,
their standard home. Sorry.
No, it was a new one last season. So it says Denver.
I know which one it is. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It has like the yellow in the outline of Denver.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep.
Exactly.
I'm tracking.
I kind of dig. Like, I don't think that they're anything special, but I think those are like pretty solid jerseys to me, at least. So I don't hate them at all. But yeah. There we go. Those are our favorite jerseys from the Denver Nuggets. And for those who don't remember, I locked the over on the Nuggets, and Jacob has picked the under. And so moving on to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Their record last year was 42-40, which was in my ceiling to floor range. It was on the lower side, though. I had their ceiling at 57 wins, floor at 37, and their sweet spot right in the middle at 47 was my reasonable prediction. This season, their over-under is going to be 44.5. And for those who don't remember, they Jacob just made a face. Is that different than you've seen, or
no? That's just I haven't looked. That seems low to me.
It seems low.
They had about the worst scenario possible. Anyway. For those who haven't seen, you can finish your thing before we go into.
Yeah, I was about to go into their worst scenario possible. Last season was something that isn't necessarily like an injury sort of thing. It was a fit issue, a team chemistry issue that isn't guaranteed to be solved. You know, They looked better towards the end of last season. I feel better about this team moving forward, but their line is 3 wins. They have to win 3 more games than they did last season to hit the over. And they're in a just more competitive West as we've gone through. Mike Conley, I think, was a great addition, but he's getting another year older at just a 6'1" point guard frame, getting to 35, 36 now. I don't know if the drop off is coming soon for him. He's been on the decline for sure, but last time we saw him last season, he was still a very serviceable starting point guard in the NBA. And I think whether he is still going to be that this upcoming season is definitely a big factor for how this Timberwolves team will fare, especially since he is basically, him and Kyle Anderson is what unlocks Gobert as like a positive piece on their offense. If one of those two guys isn't on the floor with Gobert, then he's kind of just clogging things up, and there's not anybody that can really find him or utilize him in the pick and roll, because Kyle Anderson and Mike Conley are really the only 2 pick and roll creators or like passers that are capable of like setting him up for lobs pretty consistently. I've yet to see, this might be totally wrong, but I don't know if I've ever seen Ant-Man throw a lob to Gobert before or to anybody. But And so that's why I'm going to lean the slight under on this one. I don't think it'll be by much, but I could definitely see either one happening. But I feel similarly to how I did last year, but just a more competitive West. So I'd probably put my reasonable prediction. I haven't been doing this for all these teams, but my reasonable prediction would probably be at like 44, honestly. So it'd be like a game below where they'd have to get. So yeah, what about you?
I'm going to lock the over.
Fair. I'm glad how this is turning out. We're disagreeing more than the other divisions.
I just feel like in my brain, like the Karl Anthony Towns injury, Mike Conley getting beat up, and maybe that's just what you have to expect from Mike Conley, is he's just not going to be able to give you a consistent, always around, just with age. He's not the Iron Man that he used to be, and he never really was, honestly. But I just don't think everything will go wrong like it did last year. But in one more year of all of this being together, Jaden McDaniels is going to be a piece that I think continues to grow for him and get better. Mm-hmm. Would I rather have this team take Rudy Gobert and swap it for Jared Vanderbilt? For sure.
Just straight up for Jared Vanderbilt?
Not straight up, but like, I mean,
it could,
in terms
I'm not laughing at the actual like truth of that.
On the court, I think that just makes more sense.
It could,
but
yeah.
That's not what this team has as a situation. I like if Anthony Edwards like says I am a top 10 player in the NBA, like we've both talked about, he might. Mm-hmm. It's not a guarantee, but he really might do that. This team, I think, could win like almost 50 games. Like I really think that this team is like, if not everything goes right, but if they have 8 out of 10 dominoes fall, this team is a lot better than people think they are. And we've talked about it before, but Bruce Brown said that this was their hardest series, and a lot of that's matchup wise. But like, I know, I just really think that if certain guys take a step up, they figure out the nightmare scenario of Gobert and Towns taking the court, whether that's sending Towns out for someone else or moving whatever they do. I just think that this team could like be jousting for like a top 3 seed in the West. I think with how good the West has gotten, this team is able to contend with those, not super comfortably, but I think that this is a pretty good team.
Yeah, I don't think that's a crazy pick at all. Maybe the lock, I think, is a little crazy, but
who else do we lock in this division?
Yeah, that's true. It's hard to find one that you feel good about. And you're kind of like I'm kind of like the Cavs guy.
I'm Wolves guy.
And you're Wolves guy. For like our secondary teams, obviously not
I was like high on the Wolves when it was like Vando. As like, look at that guy just hustling.
Yeah. Yeah, so also they have really good injury insurance at their center spot, with Naz Reid being one of the best backups in the league, and he's behind. They have Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns at the big spot.
I think somebody gets moved for sure. I think something gets, and that's probably Cat gets moved for something, and I think that they're in a position where they should. And this roster was built by the guy that built 80% of the Nuggets, so it's not like this GM that doesn't know what to do at all. Mm-hmm. The Rudy Gobert thing really brought that into question. It was very confusing on why he did that. Other than this will make us better against the Nuggets, but I think that if he flips Cat for a win now piece, which I think is what they do, because they know they're almost to a window. Like they're in a position where they probably should feel good about their chances if they flip Cat for a improvement at their 3, let's say, or a more consistent couple bench pieces, whatever they flip Cat for. It could bump this team to like the next. I think Ant can be the number 1 option on the NBA championship team. That's pretty much why I think highly of this T-Wolves team. Ant could evolve to that. But yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'd agree with you. I do feel like if this team were to make a move to put them in contention this season, it should be Gobert getting moved. And that's my personal opinion. I think that's an unpopular opinion, to be honest.
No, I don't. I agree with you. I don't think they can. Gobert money is gross. Cat, they both have gross money, but teams have more red flags about Gobert than they do Cat.
But I think there's some teams to me, if I was Mark Cuban and the Dallas Mavericks, I would be like, here's some pocket change for Gobert that like would be some pieces that the Wolves would definitely take, because number one, they're getting off of Gobert, but they're getting back. Like the thing though, I don't think this will happen is because that is something that you just never see happen is a GM just a year later, basically, because what it is like basically folding and admitting that what your trade was just a year ago was a complete failure, and GMs just don't tend to do that. Like if he flips Gobert for things that are like is laughable in comparison to what they gave up for Gobert, then it's like basically admitting his failure, and he's looked at as a worse GM just publicly, which is just the way it goes.
And that's the other thing is like I kind of looked into this because when we did an episode breaking down Bleacher Report's like 5 trades that could happen, and it was cat moving. The thing that I think is like difficult is how much money for either of those guys have to be in the deal to make the books balance.
Yeah,
so you have to trade a team that has like 2 or 3 guys worth $17 million a year, and that's just hard to find people that'll be like, yeah, I'm willing to give that up for Gobert, because a lot of the time that 17 is a guy that is a value piece because he's like on the middle deal before he gets his big money or before he like,
unless it's like a Duncan Robinson or Davis Bertans type thing.
That does happen, but like
Spencer Dinwiddie. But
usually the team that's trading away the big money doesn't get like pieces back they can use. They just get like make the salaries balance, and we don't have to deal with them. Let us reload for this offseason, and maybe that's what they do. But I also think that in terms of what you want Ant to do, Gobert is not the best for that, I don't think.
No, not at all. That's why I think he's an addition. That's why I think Gobert is almost an addition by subtraction for this team. Not entirely because of what he provides on the defensive end, but like if you just trade him for pieces to form around this team, I just think that's.
I'm glad that the first guy they got out was D'Lo, though. I'm glad that was because there was like I've got a buddy that's a T-Wolves fan. He's like, well, I don't know which piece. I was like, the answer's D'Lo. Don't question it.
Which piece to move? You're saying
between those before Gobert got there, which 3? I'm like, the answer's not Ant, because if it is, you just are dumb.
Yeah, I think the answer all along was D'Lo. Yeah,
but like they're like Cat or D'Lo, and I'm like, Cat is not the guy you send home. But with that being said, man, Northwest Division, some juicers on the jersey side. I'm just realizing this.
Wolves jersey, they might have my favorite jersey in NBA history. Not even kidding. One Wolves jersey in particular.
Okay, before we get to that though, let's give our watchability score. T-Wolves for me, a 9.4.
Okay. So is that your second highest?
Yes.
Mine?
Yes. No, it is my third highest because there's a certain team that may or may not also be in the Northwest Division that I love.
Okay, so mine is going to be a 7.2. I think that's pretty fair.
I should have written down on my score so I know the actual order.
Anthony Edwards is definitely a big part of that score, being a positive.
I just like watching Kyle Anderson shoot, to be honest.
Slow-mo.
But there's that. Average person watchability, way closer to you than me, for sure. Honestly, maybe even lower than you. Like, people probably don't really want to watch the Timberwolves at all.
Yeah. That might be the case. I think a lot of people, especially after Team USA stuff this summer,
will want to watch Ant for like 3 weeks and then be done. But and I don't have a number to put on the average Joe watchability.
Probably a 7 or a 6.5, something like that.
6.3, but that works too. 6.5 works. Now to jerseys, as we are winding down time on the T-Wolves. Jerseys wise, what is your favorite jersey of all time for the Minnesota Timberwolves and potentially in the history of the NBA?
Yeah, it might be my favorite of all time, and that is their blue. It's not like the actual old ones, but it's the new versions of the old blue with the white Wolves font with the green outline of that font. So it's like a bright blue, not bright as in like light colored, but like bright as in like it's poppy, pops.
Where it like ombres into white on the top. Or that's their new city editions this year.
Oh no, not that one. The Axe body spray can. Not that one. That's what that looks like to me. But
yeah,
I don't hate it, but it's like, yeah, it looks kind of odd to
Blue.
me. Like if you just look up Wolves jersey, it's the one where like Ant is doing this joint with Malik Beasley. It's just like the shade of blue just does something to me. Like the Magic have a jersey that is a similar shade of blue, and
you also love that one.
Yeah, that one is just like I love how bright it is. I don't know why. It's just such a clean. It's like dare I say a perfect jersey. This Wolves one.
I love the jersey of one of these, but I hate the pants. But it is my favorite jersey.
Of this one?
No, one of the.
Oh, so what's your opinion on the one I gave?
Oh, that's a pretty clean one.
Okay.
The blue doesn't do something to me.
Yeah.
But I get the appeal.
Mm-hmm.
It's the all black with Timberwolves, but like the V and the two of the letters have like sharp points, and there's like a green line.
Mm-hmm.
It's green, black, and white. They don't have much of the blue on it. But then the pants have this just stupid mid-thigh green line, and I hate it. I just hate it. But I like the jersey. I like the top. I like the number. It's outlined in green.
Mm-hmm. It's the same
like a
color
healthy amount of green as opposed to their like my eyes are bleeding highlighter green Minnesota jersey.
Yeah. We are going to get into, I just realized, one of probably my least favorite team in terms of jerseys in this division, but we'll save them for later. But yeah, so those are our favorites. I think we got some good ones there. And on now to the next team in the Northwest Division. That is the Oklahoma City Thunder, which is not the team I was alluding to because they have some decent uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
But this team, Oklahoma City Thunder, they on the season last year, they got 40 wins. So 40 and 42 is what they ended up with. And they are probably I think other than one other team and who we're going to get to, they were one of the biggest differences in terms of what my ceiling to floor range was for them. So my ceiling for the Oklahoma City Thunder last season was 33 wins, and they won 40.
Well,
so
I don't think anybody envisioned Santa Clara Jalen Williams being what he was.
Or Shea averaging 31 points a game.
No, I was going through the list.
Yeah, I know. The way I said that was just like not because you didn't say it, but just the fact of like that's crazy that happened. You know what I mean?
And I think people saw it jump, but I don't think they envisioned that. Like that was if there was a word more aggressive than jump, leap. I feel like that's even low. The vault. He
pole vaulted.
He took what we thought he was going to do in like 3 years and just did it in a year.
Launched off of Sabonis's chest into into the top 10 potential players in the NBA.
No, he was nuts. And then and I think that the way this team is like Rubik's Cube together, the way that Giddey and Shea play off of each other, it just works. Like it's like usually when you have funky. Two guys that are not ball dominant, but like I like to have the ball and kind of help things drive.
Yeah.
It doesn't work, but the way that they like chemistry-wise make it work where Shea, I think a big reason he made that jump was how good he got off ball as opposed to just being this like using his teammates because Giddey had the ball. And then Giddey, I think, also did a little bit of that, but not obviously the same level as Shea. I watched a decent amount of Thunder last year. They were a high priority watch for me. Honestly, both Jalen Williams really were fun. Like neither of them super disappointed. Oh, and by the way, you know how they had the second overall pick or second overall?
Second, yeah.
He didn't play last year, so he's just coming back. And not that I expect him to do anything crazy. He is my pick for Rookie of the Year. But
yeah,
I think that the basketball gods looked at us and like, you deserve a Wemby Chet Rookie of the Year run, and it was bestowed upon us. But with that being said, what do you have for their over-under?
So their line, I don't know if I mentioned that yet. Their line is 44.5 for this upcoming season. And I didn't mention what my actual whole range was. So it was 33 wins as the ceiling, 13 was my floor, and 23 was my reasonable prediction.
Is that turned if they like shut Shea down again?
Yeah, that was
they had in years previous.
There were some teams at the bottom that I had like even lower than that for their floor because I didn't know how to weigh the Wembanyama tanking factor, like if some teams were going to go all out for it or not. So yeah, that's what kind of went into that there. But yeah, I had them at 23 wins just because I thought they would probably end up tanking again at some point, but they never did. They went for it and paid off. Like it didn't pay off because like they didn't actually get into the playoffs, but it paid off because I think that's the right way to develop and build your team is just to like get some guys on your squad that perform like they just want to win.
They've seen it.
They compete.
No, they've seen it. And a perfect example is the team we just talked about, the T-Wolves, that stupid jumping on the table, losing their mind when they won the play-in game to actually make the playoffs. But they just looked like a better team when they were actually in the playoffs. Like they just like took that step. So I 100% agree that getting guys in those types of situations, those playing in the playoffs, whatever you want to call the play-in, those types of reps matters.
As opposed to the 76ers
be atrocious.
Joel Embiid for his two first seasons of his career, and Ben Simmons being on a team that just was not did not have a winning mentality. And I don't know if that's what we can blame his mental. Not his mental health. I don't want to say that, but like his just not
on the court mental lapses.
Yeah, and not having like the competitive drive that you would want.
Yeah,
that might be part of it. Who knows? I don't want to be psychoanalyzing him, but that is what I just kind of did. So, looking at the Thunder though, their over/underline is 44.5, so the same as the Wolves. Looking at the roster, yeah, I echo what you said about Shea and Giddey about how it's weird that it works, but it works
like so well.
It's funky. Neither of them are great shooters. Shea's taken strides though as getting better as a shooter. I think Giddey's also started getting a little better too, especially since they've last season was their first year. They had Chip England, who's regarded as the greatest shooting coach of all time. Who spent all those years with the Spurs, getting guys who could not shoot earlier in their careers into shooters by the time, just a few years into their career. He's been working with the likes of Josh Giddey on improving his jump shot. So yeah, I think that if we see that improve for Giddey, if he gets to even like an average catch and shoot,
if he can shoot, if he can hit I'll call it at a 33% clip.
Yeah,
that's scary.
Yeah, that would be. I'm trying to remember what his actual number is right now, but I was going to say 35, like his league average is like 35-ish. And if he can do that, that would be ideal. And that would be more than
29.5.
Yeah, 29.5. Okay, so 33 would definitely be a good improvement.
Well, and that's incorporating like just everything when he gets contest. Just hit a 30 or threes, and I think that'll be a big. I mean, that's a 4-point jump for him, which is a big jump. So,
yeah. So, and also, I love how Giddey is. He's one of these guys it's great. He's great with the ball in his hands. You would think that that's how you'd want to use him most of the time. But the other thing is how good he is off ball is just something that I love because he's just such a connective passer. He reminds me a lot of Lonzo Ball in that way, where he's a guy that he's like. One of the best, Jokic is kind of like this too, but Jokic has the ball most of the time, so it's not the same thing. But in theory, at least, it's similar, where he doesn't need the ball very much in order to be like the best passer, best playmaker on the floor, like to impact the game in a way where he's like doing all these things. Because like Lonzo just gets the ball off a defensive rebound or an outlet in transition, and he's just like spraying it up the floor to guys in transition or like just getting like a swing over to him and he's touch passing it down to somebody, in a high low, like things like that. Giddey does that too.
if like pass to assist counted as like a half assist, he would have like 25 assists a game. Like if each pass to assist counted, because he just like when he does touch the ball, the pass always goes to like if it's not the guy that's doing something, it's the next. It's very
in the flow
like
of the offense.
He's just in the flow, just the middle piece of it, and flicks it at like an angle. You're like, oh, that's a pretty tough pass. Not that he's a good passer. He's not like Mount Rushmore all-time passers in the NBA right now, but he is a very, very intelligent passer with where he puts the ball in. He gets it into some tougher places than the average NBA player probably can. Yeah,
for sure. For sure. So I love that backcourt. It's a humongous backcourt as well. The biggest one in the NBA for sure. At Shea's 6'6" and Giddey is a legit 6'8", which is just nuts. But
and then to think they have two like not big but talls, 7-footers that they can just like.
They are a tall team. It's going to be fun to watch. So that is why I'm going to use my over for them. This like I thought about just being a maniac and locking this one, but I used my lock on the Nuggets.
It was between these two for me, between the T-Wolves and them. I'm also taking the over.
Okay.
But yeah.
Fair enough. So this is the first time we've agreed today.
Well, we'll probably agree on the next one.
Oh, yeah. We have to agree on the next one. But before we get to that, Thunder watchability score. Mine is going to be – so I gave the Cavs a 9.7. So I'm going to give the Thunder a 9.4. 9.4 is what I'm feeling for the Thunder. They're either going to be the third or fourth. I haven't decided yet. They're either going to be the third or fourth highest in the entire NBA.
They are probably one of the 2 or 3 teams that if I don't watch all 82, I will catch like an extended speed watch of all 82 and highlights or what. Like I will keep up to date on the Thunder pretty aggressively. I can't even remember what I gave the T-Wolves. I don't write the numbers down. I just do what my heart says.
I think you said 9.7. Was it 9.7? It might have been 9.7.
That's the number that's popping in my head now. So maybe that's the T-Wolves, but that honestly could be the Thunder. They are just a combination of the uniqueness of their backcourt and just the potential just morsel of goodness that could be Chet Holmgren just being a dog. Because that's the one thing that I've seen as he's came back. He just seems nastier. And he was already kind of like nasty. He just seems like he is like him and Kevin Garnett just locked. Yeah, he just locked himself in a room. I was just going to say that. Kevin Garnett just was like, make me just a bad MF.
Yeah, I haven't even heard that comparison, by the way, but that's just something I was thinking of.
And I haven't seen him do, but like, I mean, he was in the summer league bullying guys fighting for an NBA spot, but like, he was like just aggressive with absolutely every movement he did on the court.
Yeah. And he's put on a lot of muscle since his last season when he entered the league.
Well, I think to the point where it's translated to like 15 pounds. It's not just like, oh, he bulked up. Like, I think he's just bigger. It's not easy to put on 15 pounds no matter how big you are of muscle.
Yeah.
So any chub he had is gone, and he's just a big, girthy
which I don't think he ever really had any chub on him.
Girthy is not the right word, but no, he is definitely bulked up, which is good for both. Knock on wood, you never want to see injuries in any sport, but and hopefully we see like a full-on, full blast version of Chet. And he's also a part of the sneaky reason I took the over, because I'm like, if this team without him could do that type of stuff, I don't think what Chet's going to require will take all that much away from what they did last year. But the West is kind of rising tides makes things difficult. So, so there's the Thunder. But before we get moving on, all-time jerseys.
Yeah, for the Thunder. Do you have one that comes to your mind?
I do, and it's kind of a weird one. It is the all-orange Russ. It has a dark blue OKC on the chest.
Oh, the dark blue one on the chest?
Yeah. I want to make sure, because like, I know a play that I'm thinking.
Okay, I know the one you're talking about now. I see it on Steven Adams.
It's the play where Steven Adams throws the greatest off of the rim and then catches it and chucks it out to Russ, who hits the game winner. In Russ's crazy first year, his MVP season.
So is this the one that has the white outline on the OKC, or is there no outline?
So it's not the dark blue. It's the I'm going to just look up the play because I like.
Yeah, I like those ones. I kind of prefer the other ones, though, the ones that are just like it, but there's no white outline on the OKC part in the chest.
No, it is the dark blue OKC with the white outline.
Okay, yeah.
And it's like the dark, it like almost looks black. It's like Nuggets blue, for lack of a better term.
Okay, yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
Oh, it's in the playoffs? Maybe this wasn't his MVP season.
They went to the playoffs. It's MVP season. For sure. Nobody's ever won an MVP and not gone to the playoffs.
Well, it wasn't even to win. It just, they were down 108 to 107 against the Rockets in the playoffs. I just remember, like, because he didn't even beam it. He just, like, arced it off, and it just bounced back to him, and he just throws it out to Westbrook. But it's the dark blue OKC, the Andre Roberson OKC dark blue.
Yeah. I like those ones. I also like the gray gradient ones when Melo is there. Those ones are kind of cool. I wouldn't say OKC has any like all-time jerseys that I'm just like, oh yeah, that's a Pantheon, type of jersey. I
don't think they have any where I'm like, that's atrocious.
Yeah, not really.
The only one where they look like a truck stop is a little weird. It's like the everything's charcoal gray.
That's kind of funny. Was that a pun intended on the truck stop thing? Because
no, I think it's because like their Loves is their like jersey patch.
Yeah.
So I really feel that like the whole thing just feels truck stop.
Okay, and which one was that?
It's like the all charcoal. It's got gold highlight, like gold.
Oh yeah. Okay, I see which ones you're talking about.
That one just it's like a good jersey, but it just feels truck stop.
Yeah. I see that. It says like Oklahoma City on it, like stacked. Yeah. I honestly kind of like their all white ones from last year, or maybe the year before. I think it was last year. Yeah. They're all white with the gray letters, like literally not color on them at all, other than the Loves patch.
Yep.
I like those ones. But yeah, so that does it.
Their worst jersey, though, now that we're doing this, is the one that had like the weird font for OKC. It had like a diamond inside the O and like a diamond inside the C.
Yeah, see, that's one that I'm like, either that is completely just awful, or it's actually kind of cool. Like there's no in between. You know what I mean? And I lean that it's pretty awful. Just looking at it, like the front, it looks like a energy drink, the can of an energy drink. You know what I mean? Like one of those Bang energies, something like that. But yeah, so that does it for Jersey Talk for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And that brings us to the next team in the Northwest Division, which is the most interesting team in the NBA right now. That's probably not true, but they have a claim to it at least. And that is the Portland Trailblazers. Because I
think they have the most interesting storyline, but not team.
Yeah. They're the only team out of all 30 in the NBA that don't have an over-underline on any sportsbook right now. And that is because of I don't know what else to call it other than...
It's just the Dame effect. The Damian Lillard uncertainty.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a word. I keep thinking viscosity, but that means like a
thickness of fluid.
Yeah. What I mean is very variable. Like it could go either way.
Well, because if Dame's there and they set a line like he's not, everyone that bets the over easily makes their money. And if Dame is not there and like they make a line like, oh, he's gone, and then he ends up staying, he's still going to play and they're still going to be in the same ballpark of where they were last year. So they probably won't make a line until they have an answer on where Damian Lillard will be for game one is probably when or they just won't make a line, and you can't bet the line on the Trailblazers this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they've ever done that, but
yeah, I'm not sure, but probably not. That would sound very surprising. But the thing that does confuse me though is why does the Heat still have a line? Because isn't that kind of like a big?
Because I think the variability between the two outcomes is not as dramatic.
Yeah. That's fair.
I also found an interesting stat kind of diving into them. They will be bad. How bad, you might ask? Without Damian Lillard on the court, they had a minus 10.6 points per 100 possessions. And that's a point differential of an 18-win team. Somebody typed that up when I was looking through things. I didn't do the math for that, but they won't be that bad, I don't think, without Dame. But I put them in the ballpark. They'll flirt with the 20s for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and they might be one of the few teams that might be tanking this NBA season at the end of the year. I don't know if anybody's going to be tanking at the start. That rarely happens.
If there's not a Wemby at the finish line, it's not the same caliber. Next year there will be, but not this year.
I wouldn't say even a Wemby next year.
Wemby's obviously a bit strong, but there's not this is like watch it just end up being like the next like 2003 draft class, and we're just like sleeping on it. But there's nothing that's like eye shattering, show stopping.
Yeah. There's at least 3 players in this year's draft that would go first in next year's, probably just by the assessment of it at the moment. But yeah, so so the Blazers, they don't have a line. So you were saying that they are a way worse team without Dame. Part of that also might be because of when he wasn't playing last year, they were intentionally tanking at that point. And the funny thing I thought of also is like, even with that boost, I don't think it still equates to Nikola Jokic's on off, which is just a wild thing. This is just Nuggets fan time throwing in another braggadocious Jokic stat. But so anyways, what their record was last year was 33-49, which was in that ceiling to floor range I had him at. Their ceiling I had him at was 47, and that was if Dame and Jeremy Grant and the whole crew stays healthy and they're competing, for a playoff spot and everything. That was like the best case scenario. Then the floor I had him at was 26 wins, and the reasonable prediction I had him at was 39. So they were on the lower end for sure, but Dame also missed more games than expected. And so, me and Jacob are going to both use our stayaways here. Fairly so. I don't think
we talked about it before, and since there was no line, we're like, you have to. But then I think you said, Logan, like we probably both just would anyway.
Yeah.
Because if there's ever a reason for a stay away, unless you're like really conflicted on a line, not having a line is there. Yeah.
Agreed. I don't think it would be insane to just be like, whatever their line's going to be, I'm picking under. You know what I mean? But
unless it's 20.
Yeah, that'd be a little tough. Yeah, for sure. Because what if Scoot just comes out and is an animal?
No, I think there's a real world where Scoot comes out and is 60% of Damian Lillard.
And Jeremy Grant is still on this team. They still have some good players.
Okay, 60. No, I'm going to stick with 60. There is a chance where like he comes out and is like a great value Damian Lillard with the ability to develop into.
I mean, I don't see him being anything like Damian Lillard as far as skill, like what they do on the court.
What they do, no, because
he's more like a Russell Westbrook.
Yes, I was not trying to say in terms of what he does. I'm more saying in terms of like what he can provide in terms of like strictly statistical points, things like that, like the impact he has on a game.
Mm-hmm. He's like an athletic point guard.
He can walk in the door and have 60% of the impact that Dame had. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, it's because it's apples and oranges the way they play basketball, because that's why comparing point guards, big comparison is Dame and Russell Westbrook for me. They just seem like they're cut from the same cloth, same type of player. That's not how it works. Yeah. Scoot's a football player, built like one and
plays like one. Yeah, so that is, I guess, our picks on that. There's not really much else to say about the analysis of this team, I don't think, other than I guess we can take a look at their roster. We should do a better job at that. I feel like we haven't been.
Well, we've been giving a lot more like actual commentary on teams than we usually do. Yeah. Because we've been getting close to 15 minutes after already just having a crazy start to the episode.
Yeah, because I think we're pretty loose. But they still got Anthony Simons here, Matisse Thybulle. Just drafted Scoot Henderson, like we said. Shaedon Sharpe coming into his second season. Nasir Little is still on this NBA basketball team. Chris Murray, who is the twin brother of Keegan Murray, just left-handed. He's a rookie on this team this year.
Worst of the two.
Last year he played just like his brother, though. So who knows?
What Iowa with the same Yeah, that is fair. But
the first year though, he was major backseat.
And then also Iowa was way worse last year than they were. Granted, they didn't have Luke Garza.
Like their whole team was not as good. But Chris Murray entering like he put up similar numbers to his brother in that same role.
You know what Chris Murray did though, or
Keegan?
Yeah, what Keegan Murray did? Beat Nebraska. Get wrecked, Chris Murray.
Oh, okay.
They didn't beat Nebraska.
I see what you're saying. I thought you were like laughing at Nebraska for a second. I was like, that is very out of character.
No, Chris Murray lost to Nebraska in Lincoln.
Okay.
And in Iowa City.
Yeah. All right. Well, is that where Iowa is? Iowa City?
Yeah.
Oh.
Iowa State's in Ames, and Iowa's in Iowa City.
I knew that Ames was Iowa State, but nice.
No, I'm not second guessing myself. I know I'm right. Pick a Big Ten team. I'll tell you where they're at.
I don't know if I even would have told you where I just kind of didn't know that, I guess.
Rutgers, Piscataway, New Jersey.
I didn't even know that was a city. Piscataway?
I think technically they're New Brunswick, but it's Piscataway.
Keon Johnson is on this basketball team. Ray and Rupert, who's one of the many French prospects in last year's draft, is on this team as well. Eric Bledsoe is on their retained cap space. So is Rondé Hollis Jefferson, the left-handed Kobe, for Jordan.
Wait, he's on a team now?
No, he's on their dead cap. He's like their cap holds. But so stayaways for them. Portland Trail Blazers watchability score. I'm going to give them a 2.3.
I'll give them a 3-1 early because I want to see what Scoot does, and then a 1.
Yeah, I think they'll be pretty bad. Maybe I should go higher than 2-3. Actually, I'll go 3-6.
Okay, I'm going to change it because if we're going to say 1 is the 7-win Bobcats, we need to find out how many wins they actually have. We've never looked.
Pretty sure it was 7.
Okay,
I think it's
that. Bob, if that's a 1, they're a 2.
Yeah,
like they are. At
least a 2. At least
almost negative desire. I would try to watch baseball again before I'd watch like Trailblazers actively.
It depends for me because they have a lot of fun players. Like, Anthony
That's what
Simons.
I said early. I'm like, I'll watch Scoot.
Yeah,
Anthony Simons, but I'm not interested in.
I'll probably go like a 3-6 on them because I don't think they'll be the last team. I think there's one team that is going to be well below them actually. So more and more I think about it, I'd say 3-9. 3-9 is going to be my watchability score for the Portland Trail Blazers because it's just slow, like what I look at it as is if it's below a 5, I'm kind of like, nah, I'm good. Most NBA teams are above a 5 for me because I'm like, oh yeah, there's a lot of things on that team that you
want to see.
Yeah. Yeah. So 3-9 for the Blazers. Both these are stayaways here. Jerseys. I honestly, one of their very slept on jerseys, one that I like a lot is.
There's only one I like.
You don't like Portland Blazers jerseys?
There's a couple okay ones, but there's one that stands out to me.
I think Portland has some really good jerseys, to be honest.
They have some really bad ones.
The one that I like a lot is the one that says Oregon on it. They're kind of like almost a brown. I don't know if I would say brown, but they're like a charcoal. And then they have the red on the side, and it's like with cursive Oregon on them.
But it's like the red, orange, blue. Yeah, okay, I see it now. Yep.
Mm-hmm. I kind of like those ones. Especially like when Melo played there. That was like their city edition that year, or one of those years that he was there. So I like those ones. I like also the ones that say Rip City. Obviously, they have a few that do, but I like those ones.
The cream Rip Cities are the best. Yeah,
cream Rip Cities are good. They're just their general like normal home and away. I dig those like with the stripe.
Wow. You just left a little nugget earlier, and I am shocked that the team we have left is your least favorite NBA jersey franchise.
Oh, okay. I don't mean that as all time. Their jerseys right now are the
because
worst
they have
thing.
A terrible current. Yes,
but their jersey,
a short 3 to 4 years ago, they were all. They were knocking things out of the park.
I agree with you.
Okay, I misunderstood what you were saying.
Yeah. right now they have the worst jerseys in the game. But but to finish up with Portland though, really quick, most teams, I don't love it when they do like the no text on the front. It's just like a symbol. Mm-hmm. But Portland gets away with it with the
something about the Trailblazer just cyclone, whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
What is it? Is like a wheel moving fast? What is it supposed to be?
Oh, I think it's like supposed to be like actual like paths.
Like a pinnacle point with like paths?
Yeah, I think so. That's what I've always interpreted it as. But maybe not.
It's a pinwheel.
A pinwheel. Okay.
The 5 lines on either side of the graphic represent the 5 offensive players and 5 defensive players coming together to compete in the game of basketball.
Oh. Gotcha. More you know. I'm not a huge fan of their PDX jerseys.
Yeah, those suck.
Like, I like them if they weren't the Blazers. Because I just don't love when a team uses completely like not their colors sometimes. You know, this bothers me unless it's like really, really good. But if a team were to be those colors, then I think that's it's a fine jersey.
Because they look like they're Hornets jerseys.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of like Hornets, honestly, yeah.
I need to read this whole description because it sounds made up on what their pinwheel is supposed to be. So there's 5 lines on either side for offense and defense coming together to play the game of basketball. The curved lines represent the movement and speed of the individuals on the court, and the graphic genius who came up with this concept is the cousins of the Trailblazers founder and first general manager Hank Glickman. Frank Glickman was a graphic designer in Boston, and when Harry needed a new logo, he gave Frank a call. So it is not paths. It's just guys schmoving quick.
Gotcha. Ripping.
It's a Trailblazer, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. It's a great. It just works. Has it ever changed?
I don't think so. I guess I don't remember. I don't know when Portland became like when they entered the league.
1970.
So yes, they were good right away. That's kind of odd. It's not usually how that happens, but
so it used to be more up in 1970, and then it got edgy, and then went diagonal. But the essence has never changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they flipped the colors, I think, on it a couple times.
It used to be black and red. Now it's white and red.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the 90s, they put the red on top.
Yeah.
And now it's on top again as of 2017. But that does it for our time for them.
All right, sounds good. Going into the final team in the Northwest Division, we have the Utah Jazz, who shocked the world last year by winning 37 games. And if you took a snapshot at the beginning of the season, I think they were either 10-2 or 10-3 to start the year. They were the first seed in the West.
On pace to win 70 games. Yeah. No big deal.
Yeah. They came out and throttled my Denver Nuggets game 1 of the season, which was just a insane
wild experience. Wild experience for all involved.
I would put money on this one being the largest difference from what my ceiling to floor range was. Like I said, I haven't looked at all of them yet, but I'd be very surprised if one was bigger than this. And that is they won 10 more games than what my ceiling was for them. So my ceiling was 27 wins. They won 37. My reasonable prediction was 20, and my floor for them was 10. So I thought, I bet they
could be
digits.
Bad.
Yeah. So their over-under line this season, though, is 35.5, which I think is a really good line because it's going to be tough for them to win more games than they did last season, I think.
Because of how good the West got.
And how Lauri Markkanen, took a huge jump last season, but it's not like he's getting any younger. He's not old by any means, but he's like not at that point where he should be taking yet another leap, He's in that prime age range now.
The only leaps we'd see him take is if he gets put in a better situation, which I like. Once players get to his age, it's like, oh, you got Jalen Brunson's an example. He got put in the correct situation to use his offensive skill set, and now he looks like an elite guard more than he did in Dallas.
I think that is what Laurie's big leap was.
What happened to him last year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. First time being used with like the ball in his hands, other than when he plays for Finland, which is where he is a monster on the Finland national team. So the King in the North is his nickname in international play, which I think is one of the coolest nicknames that exists. I don't know why, but I just love that it's not like the King of the North or like something like that, because you'd expect that. That sounds a little bit more cliche, but it's the King in the North. It's just kind of dope. It sounds like something out of Game of Thrones or something like that.
Well, because
I've never seen Game of Thrones, so
there's like a whole thing, and it's King of the North. Like it's like a North. King of the North. I don't know. King
of that's what I was just saying. King.
It was definitely played off of the Game of Thrones King of the North.
His nickname?
Maybe, yeah, for sure.
I'm just saying King in the North is cooler than King of the North. That's what I was saying before the Game of Thrones thing.
I'm just checking to see if it's King of the North or King. It is King in the North.
Yeah, I think that's cooler than King of the North.
Well, they're both King in the North.
Yeah.
But yes, I can concur that is a more imposing human. That's the King that's in the North.
Yeah, it just kind of sounds cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on to whatever we were talking, the Jazz. So their over underline was 35.5, or is 35.5 rather, which I think is a really good line. And this is where I don't know. I'm kind of feeling like we should look at their roster before I give a pick.
John Collins
is an addition that you just reminded me of, to be honest. I saw a post today on Instagram.
THT, Keontae George.
I saw a post today on Instagram that was showing like some players that you might have forgotten changed teams in the offseason. And surprisingly, John Collins was not on it. Because you just said that, and I was like, oh, I totally forgot about him. He should have been on that post today that I saw, but he was not. Joey Hauser is a two-way player on the team. I don't know if he has any relation to Sam Hauser, but he is there. Luka Samanic, however you pronounce it, is on this team. Omer Yurtseven is here. What the heck? So he's not on the Heat anymore for some reason. He was a free agent, it looks like.
It's Sam Hauser's brother.
Okay. Joey Hauser. They also have Kelly Olynyk. Taylor Hendricks was a draft pick they had this year. Ochai Agbaji was a rookie from last year. Same with Walker Kessler. Simone Fontecchio, who we just saw ball out for Italy this summer. Colin Sexton is still on this team. So they've got some players. They've got a really good coach in Will Hardy. So they definitely could go over, but this is one of the teams I'm feeling a little bit safer with the under, so I am going to lean under here. What about you?
I have to go under somewhere in the West. I keep talking about how the West is so good on the top. The losses have to go somewhere, and I think they go to the Jazz, even though they might be a better team as a whole this year. They still, I think, take some L's because of just the people they got to take on the regular in the Western Conference.
I agree. Same reason I picked under. So we are on the same page there. That is I think we've been like basically the same each division where we disagree on 2 and then agree on 3. So that has continued, that pattern. But yeah, so I think that will do it for the Utah Jazz as far as picking their over-under. But moving on to their watchability score, I am going to give the Jazz not as high as I would have, like not going into last year. I didn't think it would be high going into last year, but not as high as it did end up being last year, which was more of like a 7-ish for me. This year, I'd say it's probably more like a 5.
I feel like 5 is a perfect number.
Mm-hmm.
I won't turn it off unless there's a team that I'd rather watch.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, it's basketball. This is good.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And I like watching Lauri Markkanen, honestly. Lauri Markkanen is just a Lauri legend. You know what I mean? I just love that that's a nickname for him too. He's got some of the best nicknames. The Finisher.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Yeah. That is a really good one. And so moving on to their jerseys, I guess. So we both picked 5 for them for the watchability.
Yeah, I feel like 5 is like a perfect number.
Yeah.
You said them like that's good. That's it.
Mm-hmm. If any team is a 5, it's the Utah Jazz.
For sure. Moving on to jerseys here. We kind of talked about it earlier. They did a big reveal last year of a new alternate home and away, and they suck.
They're the worst jerseys I've ever seen in my life.
One of them is okay. I think their black one with the Utah is okay.
The Utah?
I don't think it even says all Utah. I think it just has 3 letters on it.
Really? Which is that?
I might be wrong, though. This is from memory.
Oh, you're going based off memory. Okay. I just don't like – I like the only ones that are okay to me are the white ones in the front. Like the white front – the front of the white ones are okay.
You don't like the bleed your eyes yellow?
No, okay, yeah. I hate the color of that one, number one, for the Jazz at least. Like, why are the Jazz abandoning like their best – like they have one of the best color palettes in the league, you know, with that purple and blue. You know what I mean? And now
it's like they also have like an infinite color palette because like – people don't really care.
And now they're just adding a completely new thing into it. And I'm like, why? You have so many good colors. Why just go completely highlighter yellow?
Yeah. I think my favorite Utah, before we like crap on them, because I'll forget, is the black sunset ones where it's not all sunset, but the top half is sunset, but it's like black, the rest of it.
I like those ones. I also just like that because, like, if you've been to Utah in where the games are played around Salt Lake City and Provo, that area, that is what the night or the evening sky looks like. There very much. It's like almost like I would describe it almost more like a pink than an orange, but it's very much that vibe. So it fits really well with where they're located, but. The thing I hate, I didn't even say what I hate most about their current jerseys right now, but what that is the size of the numbers are just way too aggressive. It's not that I hate the font of them or anything like that. It's just how big the numbers are is like, calm down. You know what I mean? That's how I feel when I look at them. It's like, take it easy a little bit. Why are they so big? But yeah, that's why I like the white ones because the numbers are like a agreeable size. They're not so huge. But yeah, that's just how I feel. I don't know about you.
It's just an interesting angle to hate them from.
That's what I've hated about them ever since the moment I saw them.
I hate them because it looks like they were made in PowerPoint and then just put on a jersey.
Yeah, they look like the
oversaturated
team, like a high school team's jerseys.
The oversaturated yellow that screams like I'm learning how to use Pro Presenter and I'm gonna make a yellow slide.
Yeah. I really don't like them, but that's just me. I like, as far as like the jerseys that I do like from the Jazz, I really like their purple mountain ones. The purple, they have them right now as a retro alternate, which is the only thing that's good about their current jerseys. They're purple ones with the white mountains.
Do the jerseys bring down their watchability score for you?
Honestly, they might. Like, as much as I enjoyed watching them play last year, I could not, like, I not even a little, I thought maybe they would grow on me. They haven't. Like, hardly at all. Like, maybe a little bit. I don't have as much hatred towards them as I did when I first saw them. But still, like, I'm just like, I wish they were wearing different uniforms. But yeah, so that is how I feel about the Jazz jerseys. The purple ones are my favorites. I also really love the Darren Williams AK-47 era light blue.
Yep.
I love those jerseys.
Like with the first era of the new Utah Jazz like logo that wasn't like the Mountain Jazz. It was like
the font.
The font, yeah. The new Jazz font, but it had this like it kind of looks like a Grizzlies jersey.
Yeah, it does. It does, honestly.
Just with Utah on the front, like somebody made it at home.
Yeah. But yeah, those are Those are our picks for the Jazz jerseys.
I got a tweet.
Is it shareable on the podcast?
It's football.
Okay.
Well, I can just explain it. So it's showing the Giants' offensive line trying to block this just loaded defense. The 49ers' defensive line is like, if not the best, one of the best in football. And somebody just tweets, "This is how kaijus attack cities in Pacific Rim." And it's the defensive lineman running through the offensive line with his arms up, like trying to like swim around.
I've never seen Pacific Rim, but I think I know what you're talking about. I think I've seen the memes.
It's just funny. It's just a funny. And this guy's a Giants fan, so that's why it makes me laugh more.
Oh.
This is how kaijus attack cities in Pacific Rim. Anyway, sorry. I got distracted by that.
That's okay. But yeah, I think that should do it, honestly, for today's episode of the Hoop Theory podcast. It was a wild ride from the very start. But if you made it here to the end, then you are one of the faithful.
Because this was rough.
Yeah, it was rough. Today's just been kind of a rough day for me, too. It's been
brutally. I almost texted you we shouldn't record tonight.
Really?
I was like.
I tried doing a Larry Birdle today, and everything was going wrong. Like the just technical issues. I ended up just scrapping it, but which is the first time I've done that, where I've just completely scrapped one of those game videos. But yeah, so that's how this day has gone from the very start. So, but yeah, hopefully you guys are not having as poor of a day. Hopefully it's been good for you.
Well, my day can't be that bad. I woke up in the greatest nation on this planet. Shout out to the 3 listeners in France over the past 6 months, the 3 listeners in Latvia. Mm-hmm. But anyway.
I think there's been 39 in Singapore.
Did we talk about Singapore?
No. I don't think we've ever mentioned Singapore before. But that's not even our biggest foreign country, I don't think.
That has to be a bot. Yeah. Singapore has to be bots.
I mean, basketball is very popular in Southeast Asia.
And we're just helping them learn English.
They definitely speak English in Singapore. That's if not the official language, then it's very close.
My brain is so done. Okay. I took Shanghai.
Oh, yeah.
And Singapore.
Yeah, Singapore is like a melting pot.
Shanghai's in China where they speak Mandarin. I'm just fucking dumb.
I mean, Mandarin is if English is not the official language of Singapore, then it's probably Mandarin because it's like a Chinese colonization place. You know, that China is who founded the district of Singapore, but they have a lot of English speaking people.
I'm sure Shanghai does probably too, honestly, for all I know.
Yeah, not as much as Singapore, but yeah, Singapore is like a international hub. It's kind of like
of trade.
Yeah, it's a little almost kind of like a New York City or a Toronto. It's like that too. But yeah, this is not. We should have a podcast where we talk about cities and geography. That'd be fun.
Wow, that'd
be a time.
Town theory,
city theory.
But anyway, if you are listening on an audio medium, also known as Spotify, be sure to give us 5 stars. It helps us out. If you're taking a look in a view ski on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, hit that ring bell so you know every time Logan pumps out content. Also, keep your eyes peeled for a compilation of me confusing Logan and probably you. Because it happens a lot. And Logan, actually, if you want to throw this at the beginning, I'll do a little bit of a voiceover. You can show the video of us debating at the beginning.
Okay.
And this will be a voiceover.
Uh-huh.
Hey, everybody. This is Jacob from the end of the episode. Things kind of got to start wild here because pretty much the point is, and I'm sure that Logan will add the part where we finally realize the differences, but my brain was confused. I couldn't get the correct words together, and it was really bugging me. So I got kind of upset to an extent that I didn't anticipate. So you won't have to endure most of that, if any of it, to be honest. Logan will probably just play this over it, hopefully, as I'm doing this after the episode. This is post, Jacob. So thank you. Be sure to head on over to Buy Me a Coffee, patreon.com, and other things like that. But yeah, enjoy the rest of the episode when we talk about the Northwest. Here's Logan, probably with the rules. I don't know when he'll throw this in, but yeah.
All right, that was good.
And then Yeah, I think I've said everything I need to say.
Yeah. So thank you guys for listening then. I will leave you with this. Stay happy, stay healthy, and we will talk to you guys next episode. Peace.